Rock'n'Pop für Hannover. Hier ist die Per Eggers Show.
Jawohl, und das zu einer ganz besonderen Sendung. Ich freue mich riesig, denn ich habe einen Gast, und zwar Kirk Hammett, Gitarrist von Metallica. Kirk, nice to have you here. Hello.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Nice. We will have 1 hour together. Wir haben eine Stunde zusammen, wo wir ganz viel sprechen wollen. Natürlich über das neue Album, das am Freitag rauskommt. Darum wird es heute gehen. Hardwired to Self-Destruct. This is our theme today. Your new album coming up on Friday. And first question will be a radio question, because you're a great rock band. You got 37 million followers on Facebook. You did lots and lots of interviews. Can you remember your first radio interview?
Oh man. Actually, yeah, I can't remember my first radio interview, and it actually wasn't even with Metallica. It was with Exodus, but I guess this is a Metallica question. So the first radio interview I did while I was in Metallica was probably with Rampage Radio. And that was on KUSF in San Francisco, and it was run by this guy named Ron Quintana, who was a pivotal figure in the Bay Area metal scene.
Yes.
Yeah, and Rampage Radio was a radio show that started at 11 o'clock at night and ran to like 5 or 6 in the morning. So, you know, I remember coming back from the recording of Kill 'Em All, and Ron knew that I was back in San Francisco, but Lars and James were still in New York. He said, come down to the radio station and tell us about the recording of the new album. And so I went down there and just I talked briefly about it, and that was it. But that was like my first radio interview with Metallica.
Were you excited?
Oh, I was so nervous I could barely speak.
Also ich habe ihn gefragt, was nach seinem allerersten Radiointerview, und das war damals in San Francisco für Radio Rampage. Das klingt auf jeden Fall schon mal ziemlich fett. Und da hat er ein Interview gegeben, sein allererstes, und hat es einfach nur runtergespult und kann sich eigentlich an kaum noch was erinnern. Aber er hat gerade gesagt, er war so aufgeregt im Nachhinein, dass er gerade noch so sprechen konnte. Ansonsten aber gar nicht. So ähnlich wie bei mir im Moment. Then let's talk about the new album. Short question at the beginning. Do you think it's one of the best albums you ever made?
I always think that our albums are the best albums that we've ever made.
So it's not special to the other ones?
Well, I mean, they all have their own special relationship to us. I mean, all the albums kind of like mean different things to us. I mean, for me, this album is special because just by the fact that we actually got it out. Yeah. This feels like a huge accomplishment, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, this album for us, it's special in that, you know, it's 2000. If you can call 2008's Death Magnetic a return to form, then you can call 2016's a Hardwired to Self-Destruct as more of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and but you know, we reached backwards in the intentions of creating something new first with Death Magnetic, and we did this again with this album, looking backwards in the attempt to create something new. And as a result, when I listen to this album, you know, it has elements of Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Justice, you know, Black Album. I hear all that stuff, but it's still unique and it's still different, you know, and so, you know, in that regards, how I see this album is that it's a perfect musical statement for where the band is at in this point of time in the 21st century.
Let's talk about that a little later, because we want to hear something from the new album, und zwar the first single, Metallica, Hardwired, und gleich sprechen wir noch über weiteres. Ganz kurz, er hat gerade gesagt, dieses Album ist natürlich besonders, weil es endlich rausgekommen ist nach 8 Jahren, und aber sonst sagt er, eigentlich sind alle Alben besonders, und er denkt immer, das nächste ist das Beste. Das hört man ja eigentlich immer von den Musikern, aber warum es wirklich so ganz besonders ist, das hören wir gleich. Warum sie 8 Jahre dafür gebraucht haben und wie eigentlich so ein Tag im Studio abläuft. All das gleich nach Metallica. Hier ist Hardwired, und gleich geht's weiter mit Kirk Hammett. Bis gleich.
Die Per Eggers Show wird Ihnen präsentiert von D-Max, Deutschlands Männersender Nummer 1. D-Max, so läuft das hier.
sind wir, Metallica, Hardwired, die erste Single aus dem neuen Album Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Am Freitag kommt es raus und heute ist er bei uns. Eine Stunde live, Kirk Hammett. Nice to have you here again. Hello.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Und wir wollen natürlich jetzt mal über dieses neue Album sprechen. Wir wollen mal wissen, was ist das für ein Riesending, was da rausgekommen ist. Ich habe heute Morgen mal reingehört und ich kann Ihnen versprechen, das bleibt so. Das wird die ganze Zeit richtig, richtig Spaß machen. Und jetzt wollen wir von ihm natürlich wissen, was glaubt er, wird das richtig erfolgreich werden. I've heard Hardwired to Self-Destruct this morning, the whole album. And I think for myself, it's loud, it's heavy, it's great produced. It's become a chart breaker, I think. So, how about you? What do you think? Do you think that Hardwired to Self-Destruct is going to be big?
I hope so.
Sure you do.
Well, I mean, and I said this before, it's just like, it seems like such an accomplishment just by the fact that we've been able to like record and complete and put out an album this time. But I mean, you know, when I think about this album and in the overall context of all our albums, you know, I think that this album is probably not as accessible as some of the stuff that we've done in the past. But, you know, again, it's more accessible than other things that we've done in the past. So, you know, my guess is just as good as yours. I know that I like it, and I think we did a really great job writing and recording it. And you know, for me, I think it's a pretty good, you know, pretty good statement on just where we are musically at this time. And I know I've said that, you know, last time around, but you know, I still feel that.
Great. Also er sagt, er glaubt, es ist besser als einige, die sie gemacht haben. Es ist vielleicht aber auch genauso gut wie einige andere, die sie gemacht haben. Und klar, er ist ein bisschen zurückhaltend, möchte jetzt natürlich nicht gleich loslegen und sagen, ja, das ist das Beste, was wir je gemacht haben. Und am Ende floppt es doch, was ich natürlich nicht glaube. Aber was er sagt ist, er findet, dass es genau richtig abbildet, wo die Jungs von Metallica jetzt gerade musikalisch stehen. Und das muss ich sagen, finde ich auch. Ich glaube, wie gesagt, dass es wirklich sehr, sehr gut wird. Aber natürlich muss man jetzt auch nochmal nachfragen, 8 Jahre ist die längste Zeit, die sie jemals für ein Album gebraucht haben. Wollen wir natürlich wissen, warum. It's the longest time you ever needed for a new album, 8 years after Death Magnetic. What took you so long? Was it because you lost your phone with all the ideas on?
Yeah, that was it.
No.
Well, I mean, like going back to 2008 when Death Magnetic was released, I mean, we toured behind that album for about 2 or 3 years, and then after that we did the Lou Reed thing, and then after that we did Through the Never, which, you know, by the time we finished Through the Never, it was like, I don't know, 2014 or something.
Yeah.
And that was like 6 years at that point. But, you know, around 2014 is when we decided to start working on the album and recording it. And that in itself took 2 years. And so, you know, the years just started to add up over time. And before we knew it, by the time we finished this album, it had been 8 years. And, you know, I admit 8 years is just way too long to wait for anything.
Yeah.
Whether it's an album or whatever, 8 years is just a long time. And, you know, hopefully, when we get time to make the new album in, well, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years or whatever it is, it'll be a lot faster because I will have had all those other riffs that I didn't use for this album for the next album.
Great. Also er sagt, sie haben die 8 Jahre natürlich nicht nur für das Album gebraucht. Das hat eigentlich nur 2 Jahre gedauert. Sie haben mit Death Magnetic 3 Jahre getourt, dann haben sie mit Lou Reed ein Album gemacht und noch Through the Never, den Kinofilm, und dann erst 2014 eigentlich so richtig angefangen. Also nur 2 Jahre, das ist dann doch wieder gar nicht so lang. Aber er sagt selber, 8 Jahre, so lang darf es nie wieder dauern. Nächstes Mal muss es schneller gehen, und er hat schon jede Menge Riffs und neue Ideen. Und dann wollen wir natürlich nochmal reinhören in das neue Album und hören uns jetzt Moth into Flame an Metallica, und gleich geht's weiter mit Kirk Hammett. Und dann wollen wir ihn mal fragen, wie läuft denn eigentlich so ein Tag im Studio ab? Metallica, Moth into Flame. Wir sind mittendrin im neuen Album Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Am Freitag kommt es raus und heute ist Kirk Hammett hier. Hallo.
Hey.
Kirk, wir wollen sprechen über einen Tag im Studio. Wie läuft das eigentlich ab? Please tell us about one normal day at the studio. You open the door, close it behind you. What happens next?
Well, usually I open up the security gate. Usually it's a secret code. Opens up, we drive in, park the car, walk into the studio, but first yet another code to open the door. It's a lot of codes to open things up, which is, something that we need, obviously. But usually the first thing that happens once when I walk into the studio is I look around for our physical therapist guy, and I say to him, Jeff, you got to work on my shoulders, you got to work on my wrist and work on my elbows. They're feeling tight. Loosen them up. And, what he'll do is I'll sit on the table and he'll do exactly that and work on my shoulders, elbows, and wrists and loosen them up. And then I'll grab my guitar and warm up. And usually, depending on just how things are, it takes me in between, 15 minutes to 25 minutes to get warmed up. And then once I feel like I'm in a state where I feel like I can play anything, usually I'll go into the control room. I'll say to Greg, okay, Greg, it's time. And for this album, we did something very differently when it came to recording my guitar solos. I purposely did not prepare at all. I prepared maybe this much, maybe 5%, but for most of everything, the idea was to go in there, be as spontaneous as possible, improvise as much as possible, and capture a real moment of time, a real musical moment of time. And so how that would happen was I would go, okay, Greg, what song are we doing? Okay, today's Atlas. I'm like, okay. And he'll say to me, do you know what key it's in? And I'll say, yeah, E minor, maybe I'll go to A minor at one point. And he'll say, okay, do you know what scales you're going to play? And I say, yeah. And he goes, what position on the neck? And I'll say, yes, part of just, preparedness that every guitar player would do. And then he'll say, do you have anything worked out? And I'll say, no. He'll say, good. And he'll say, ready? And I'll say yes, and then I'll hit the record, I hear the track, and then whatever came to my head, I just play.
Great.
And it was amazing because at the beginning of this process, I was very nervous about it and intimidated and had a lot of fear. But then when I first started to do it for the first 2 or 3 days, I realized I can do this, and not only can I do this well, but I can probably do this for a long time.
Great.
And I kind of realized that doing it this way is kind of healthier for me too, because I'm obsessive compulsive, and I obsess over things. I obsess over music, and in the past I have worked on music so much that I've beaten the life out of it. And I've shown up to the studio going, okay, here's my guitar solo that I totally just beat the life out of and only sounds good to me and no one else. And they'll say, oh, that's great, but we have to change it all. And then I would freak out going, well, what am I going to do? And I'd have to in my mind think, oh, I got to come up with something, let me sit in the corner and come up with something. But I've since found out that the best thing for me to do is just have faith in my abilities and just see what comes out of my mind, what comes out of my heart, what comes out of my soul, and just work with that. And usually that's the best stuff.
Great. Also, er sagt, so ein Tag läuft wie folgt ab. Er kommt rein mit dem Auto, muss erstmal einen Code eingeben für die Tiefgarage, dann steigt er aus, geht hoch, nächster Code zum Eingang, nächster Code zur nächsten Tür, und wenn er drin ist, dann kommt erstmal der Physiker und muss ihn erstmal fit machen. Der muss ihm die Schultern lockern und der muss ihm die Ellbogen lockern und muss ihn erstmal fit kriegen für alles, und danach geht's dann los, dann spielt er sich erstmal warm. Und jetzt ärgert er mich gerade und hält mir Hasenohren auf. Und danach geht's dann los, dann spielt er sich warm, dann geht er ins Studio und sagt, los, wir machen das jetzt und dann fragt ihn der Produzent, ob er alles drauf hat und er sagt, jo. Und dann legt er einfach los. Er bereitet sich so gut wie gar nicht vor, es muss alles aus dem Herzen kommen, direkt aus der Seele und so hat es eigentlich am besten funktioniert für ihn in den letzten Jahren. Jetzt haben wir gerade über Atlas gesprochen, Atlas Rise. Kirk, is this one of your favorite songs at the moment?
So far, you know, it changes. Like every few days, I'm listening to a different track on the album. I'm thinking maybe this is my favorite.
But
for
at
right
the moment,
now,
it's Atlas Rise.
Atlas Rise for now.
So let's hear Atlas Rise now. Short question: the album comes out on Friday. It's your birthday. Is that a coincidence?
I wish it was a coincidence. As it happens, the only the date that made the most sense for the album to come out was the 18th. It wouldn't have made sense for it to come out the 17th or the 19th.
Also, er sagt, es musste am 18. rauskommen. Es war tatsächlich am Ende ein Zufall, dass es am gleichen Tag läuft wie an seinem Geburtstag. Aber jetzt freut er sich drauf. Und wir hören rein in Atlas Rise und lernen danach Kirk Hammett persönlich noch ein bisschen besser kennen. Was macht er eigentlich am Morgen mit seinem Smartphone und was braucht er auf dem Frühstückstisch, damit es für ihn richtig abgeht?
Place it right on.
Rock and Pop. Hier ist die Per Eggers Show.
Und ich habe weiterhin hohen Besuch. Kirk Hammett, der Leadgitarrist von Metallica, ist bei mir. Kirk, nice to have you here again.
Hey,
Hi.
Per.
Kirk, wir wollen ihn jetzt ein bisschen besser kennenlernen. Deshalb habe ich 5 kurze Fragen für ihn vorbereitet, die er mir schnell beantworten soll. Und zwar einmal, was braucht er zum Frühstück? Was guckt er als erstes auf seinem Handy nach? Was steht auf seinem Nachtschränkchen? Was macht er zum Relaxen? Und wer sucht eigentlich seine Klamotten aus? Let's get going. Kirk, let's get to know you a little better. I have 5 quick questions for you.
Sure.
You answer quick, short, and spontaneously, all right?
All right.
Are you ready?
Just like my guitar solos.
Yes. You're a vegetarian. What do you need for breakfast to get fit?
Usually my standard breakfast is a smoothie made out of fruit, almond milk, a raw egg, and protein powder. And I usually don't eat breakfast right away. I usually go out surfing or go for a run or something, and then a couple hours later I'll have that smoothie.
Okay, so ein Smoothie aus Beeren, Mandeln, einem rohen Ei und Milch. Furchtbar. Und ansonsten geht er erstmal raus zum Surfen, um fit zu werden. Next question. What's the first thing in the morning that you look up on your smartphone?
Oh, it's just to see if I've gotten any texts that or anything business stuff that I need to reply to right away that's time sensitive. But after I've done all that, I'm a news junkie.
Yeah, okay.
I can't help myself. I just read about news, politics, world events.
Okay.
And usually that's my second thing that I do.
Also genau wie wir anderen auch. Er guckt erstmal, ob er neue Nachrichten gekriegt hat und dann checkt er die Nachrichten, was ist passiert über Nacht. Third questions. What is placed on your nightstand?
Some earplugs.
Uh-huh.
Because I've gotten into the habit of sleeping with earplugs from just being on tour and being in loud hotels, that nowadays I have to wear earplugs to go to sleep, and it really kind of sucks. But usually I'll have earplugs and some water, and that's it, really.
Okay, also Ohrenstöpsel. Er muss mit Ohrenstöpsel schlafen, ohne geht gar nicht mehr, seit er auf Tour war, und ansonsten ein Glas Wasser. Mehr ist da nicht. What's the best place to relax for Kirk Hammett?
The ocean.
That was a short answer.
Yes.
Great. Also, das war zu erwarten. Er ist leidenschaftlicher Surfer, also das Meer für ihn der beste Platz, um zu relaxen. Last question. Do you choose your clothes, or is your wife doing that for you?
Well, my wife is a big influence on my fashion thing. Because if she wasn't around, I'd be wearing the most stupidest stuff because I like just about everything that I think is good. But she says you might like that, but it doesn't necessarily look good on you, and so
like every wife does.
Yeah. But I mean, having said that, my wife has just impeccable tastes in everything, and she does not settle for anything but the best. And she's she doesn't let me go freely,
Like every wife does.
Yeah, so, she does her job well.
Yes, but you look great, and she's not here, right?
No, she's not here.
So you look. I like your boots.
Oh, thanks, man.
Also, normalerweise sucht er sich die Sachen selber aus, aber das sieht dann meistens wirklich aus, Jeans, T-Shirt und los geht's. Und seine Frau sucht dann die wirklich wichtigen Sachen, Stage-Outfits sucht sie schon für ihn aus, aber er sieht heute hervorragend aus, hat Schlangenleder, Stiefel in Silber. Wirklich sehr, sehr schick. Und gleich sprechen wir weiter mit Kirk Hammett, und dann wollen wir noch mal ein bisschen wissen, wieso ist Radio eigentlich auch für ihn immer noch wichtig, und was können Sie eigentlich, wenn Sie selber Gitarre spielen, in der Band spielen, wie kann man da noch groß werden, wie kann man da richtig Gas geben, was sind die besten Tipps von Kirk Hammett, dem Weltklasse-Gitarristen, für Sie, wenn Sie selber gerade noch sagen, ich möchte auf jeden Fall genauso groß werden. Vorher Metallica und The Unforgiven.
shine doing what I've shown. Never be, never see, won't see what might have been. What I felt, what I've known. Never shine doing what I've shown. Never free, never me. So I dug the earth again. Shine doing what I've shown. Never be, never see, won't see what might have been. What I felt.
Hey everyone, this is Kirk Hammett, and you have just heard The Unforgiven on the Per Eggers Show. My good friend Per right here is just hanging out with me. And so, Per, let me, what are your musical influences?
My musical influences. Oh, right. Also er fragt mich gerade, was meine musikalischen Inspirationen sind. I don't play an instrument, I gotta say, but I really like the normal stuff, like Bruce Springsteen, like Guns N' Roses, Metallica. Yeah, I'm a rock guy. I love rock music, and this is why we are here together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And now we're changing roles again, and I ask you some questions.
Wait. The one question I wanted to ask you is, what's your favorite color?
My favorite color, because we were two wearing all black. Yeah, my favorite color is blue.
You know what? Blue is a really great color, and actually my favorite color is bluish green.
Uh-huh.
So we have something in common there.
So next time when we meet, we will wear some blue and green stuff. Okay,
yeah, we look like a bunch of elves.
Great. Also nächstes Mal, wenn wir uns treffen, dann wollen wir blaue und eventuell auch grüne Sachen tragen und nicht schwarz, so wie heute. Jetzt habe ich natürlich noch mal eine Frage, und zwar geht es um das Internet. Das wird ja immer größer und größer, aber wir wollen wissen, warum ist Radio trotzdem immer noch so wichtig? Internet is getting bigger and bigger, and you get more and more music streaming. What do you think? Why is radio still so important for the music?
Well, I mean, radio is where it all comes from. I mean, it all began with radio, really, and at the end of all this, I think radio is going to be the one survivor in this entire industry. And the reason why radio is so important is that music should be heard, and radio is the main sort of driver and distributor for popular music and just all sorts of different types of music, and people go to the radio to hear new things. I see the radio as an informational tool to figure out, what bands are new and what they're doing and what they're sounding like, and I turn on the radio to ideally, hear the new Guns N' Roses album or something, But I mean, radio is important because also it puts music out there without really asking for much, Unlike the internet, when you go to a website, you don't realize it, but you're giving up your own personal data just to listen to music. And
That's right.
and radio doesn't do that, doesn't demand that.
Also er sagt, Radio ist das, wo alles angefangen hat, und es ist deshalb immer noch so groß, weil man da einfach nur hören kann, was gerade neu ist oder das, was man mag, und das geht dann einfach durch den Bauch, und beim Internet muss man seine ganzen Daten angeben, nur damit man die neuesten Sachen hören kann, und das ist beim Radio nicht so, und deshalb hört er sehr, sehr gerne Radio, und das freut uns natürlich. Jetzt haben wir da draußen natürlich jede Menge Leute, die auch selber Musik machen und würden jetzt natürlich gerne ein paar Tipps hören vom großen Gitarristen Kirk Hammett. We got a lot of listeners playing guitar themselves, having bands, want to get bigger. What kind of advice do you have?
I would say just, keep on trying to grow as a musician, grow as a songwriter. keep to your initial vision. Play with integrity, and hopefully things will happen. I mean, that's basically what I did. Is I played with conviction and played from my heart, and tried to be the best musician I possibly could in any sort of circumstance from the very beginning. I mean, I played my first show with Exodus after 6 months of even just playing guitar. We weren't very good, and I don't really tell people about that show, but I use that kind of as an example of, if you're going to do something, go all the way in, commit completely, do the work, and maybe good things will happen.
Also er sagt, man muss sich voll reinhängen, man muss alles geben, wenn man sagt, man will Musiker werden, dann muss man Vollgas Musik machen, muss alles andere dafür hinten anstellen und man darf sich nicht verbiegen lassen, man darf nicht danach gehen, was momentan angesagt ist, sondern man muss das machen, wo einem das Herz sagt, dass man es machen soll, und dann kann es funktionieren, aber man muss natürlich auch ein bisschen Glück haben dabei, aber genauso hat er es auch gemacht. Last question for today.
Okay.
Letzte Frage für heute, bevor Kirk Hammett weiterziehen muss. Wir wollen natürlich wissen, ob wir Metallica sehen im nächsten Jahr. Vielleicht bei Rock am Ring. Kirk, we want to see Metallica in Germany. I know you're touring next year in Denmark, 3 shows.
Yes.
But can we see you in Germany? How about Rock am Ring?
Yeah, I would love to be able to come back to Rock am Ring, and we love that particular show. I mean, whenever I see Rock am Ring on the schedule, I'm like, yeah, we're going back to Rock am Ring.
So it is a yes.
Well, usually Rock am Ring happens in the summertime.
Yes.
But for this summer coming up, we have some commitments, but hopefully the following summer.
Uh-huh.
But before that following summer, I think we might be in Germany maybe at the end of next year. Maybe not, but I'm hoping that we will be in Germany before the festival season, which means that we'll probably be playing, a smaller venue.
So we get a hardwired Self-Destruct tour?
Yes.
Great. Also, Rock am Ring dieses Jahr wird nichts werden, weil sie im Sommer Termin haben, aber nächstes Jahr können wir darauf uns große Hoffnung machen, aber es wird eine Hardwire to Self-Destruct Tour geben, definitiv, und die Chancen, dass Metallica Ende nächsten Jahres in Deutschland sind, stehen wirklich, wirklich gut. Also da haben wir doch einiges rausbekommen aus Kirk Hammett. Vielen, vielen Dank. Kirk Hammett, thank you very much for being here. It was fun.
Cheers, Per. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're listening to a next song. Do you want to say what we are hearing now?
Yes. Right now, you are listening to the fabulous cover of the Thin Lizzy song, Whiskey in the Jar, one of our favorite songs to play live.
And here's Metallica, Kirk Hammett. Thank you very much.
Thank you.